Talk about the main question is like our light. How do we let our light shine for others? I don't even think I need my glasses today. Life might be improving, but gosh, when we speak about the light, what is that light? And I'll be honest, I don't know. Heck if I know, because it's just different for everybody. My light is not Krishna's light, and so I like to think of it as gifts. The light is a gift. And we heard that, in Ephesians, where we were once full of darkness, but now we have a light in us from the Lord. And, Jesus didn't go out to the light, to the rich, to the even the middle class. He went into the streets, he went into the slums, and he went into what we would consider darkness, living a life in darkness. And I think that's where he wants our light to shine. Where my light to shine. Okay, let me put that. And I got worried last night. I was just telling Dawn, I said, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I don't get panicked about speaking. I think I might have panicked Jason on Friday when I said, I'm more of a stream of consciousness person. He said, but you need a question right at the time. I'm like, okay. So who knows where we'll go. But I get, like I said, we could share it as a gift. So I want us, not only do I have one discussion question today, I have two. I know that makes everybody excited. But first, I want to just ask, how are some ways that people have shared the light of God or their gifts, shared the gifts that God has given them with you? An example of that would be, besides the obvious, the kidney, that was a pretty big one. But, it's little things, too. Suzanne and Chad, who used to come to church here, unbeknownst to me, when I moved, I'm practically their neighbor, and so I go over once a week for art. She calls it art. I call it, oh my God, what is that? But she's sharing that gift, reaching out and sharing that gift with me. And every time, no matter if what I did that day doesn't look good, every time I leave from there, I feel lighter. I feel like someone connected with me and I connected with them. So that's two of my examples of how people have shared their gift of light or their gift of service or gift of giving. But that leads right into, and thank you for that. But I sat here and I thought of another example. We had our small Tove group at Bright Penny, and it was the last time that y'all were there where we sat around the fire. It was the last time we were there. And we were walking, Dawn was walking me to my car because, I trip over air. And that's okay, but that's just part of who I am. I kind of joke about it because you'll see in a minute. But when we got to across the road, across the pavement, all of a sudden I had to stop because I got real unbalanced. And then I got fearful. So Dawn walked me to my car and I put my hand on her shoulder. And then we almost got to the car. I started crying. I'm like, it was a bad week anyway. It was I had a couple anniversaries that week. I said, I don't want to be seen as a sick girl. And she said, no one sees you that way. And that was a gift to me. It was like, whew. I think Jason had already told me that. I'd shared it with him and Kia. So, but that was another light from this church that shines bright. I think you have the gift of mothering.
I am now the oldest one here.
No, I think I got you.
I will do that.
Yeah, but that was a comfort to me, and it's always a comfort to me because Rodney's not here, and bless his heart, even when his back's hurting, he makes sure, even if I need it or not, he makes sure I get to my car. It's always It's always such a blessing for me. But then on the flip side, I always felt like the sick girl. But now I'm getting out of that, because I am the sick girl. But I'm getting better. But I believe we as communities, different communities, but I want to speak to Storied Church, a community of faith. It's one of those word things again. I'm getting away from the word church because I think it, in the world and to young people sometimes, I think it doesn't mean what it means to us older folks. Excuse me. But yeah, I started talking about something in 1983 or something, and then Jason's, thank God it wasn't before I was born, or 86, something like I don't remember. And I thought, my God, he's born in the 80s. That's the beginning of my life then. But I think we have a responsibility. I changed this word in the middle of the night. I was going to say duty, but I thought it sounded judgmental, and say, well, you got to do. And we have a responsibility. But I think also we as individuals, we can choose what responsibility we want to take on. And but I think communities of faith or Christians, or I like normal Christians, I don't know what that means, but I define that as a follower of Jesus, to share our gifts with others. I mean, we learned that you don't put your light under a bucket or a bushel and hide it, because it's going to go out at some point. You put it on a stand for the world to see. And I don't mean that in a way that we see now good deeds being done. Look what I've done, look what I've done. Even though it said in Scripture today that so that we may so that your good deeds may be seen to glorify God. I think that's the challenge. I have people who put on Facebook, I helped this guy. He didn't have any money, so I gave him money, or I gave him a ride, or poor this person, poor that person. That's not what we're supposed to do. Because those people, we're right here, those people are right here. Whether they have money, whether they have jobs, whether they have felonies, whether they come in church and they don't smell good because they don't have a way to bathe. We have a responsibility to these people. Now, do I know what that looks like? Not necessarily. I know what it looks like for me, but what gift do you have that you could share with those people? I do really have to put my glass back on now. And I've been seeing all this light. So what I wanted to do is, our second discussion is ways we can share our gifts with others. Where Matthew 14:16 share, where Jesus shares about sharing with those in darkness so that they may see the light and glorify God. And that's where I didn't like the word they, but who am I to change Scripture? But they are not the people who are living in the light. Not that you don't help them, but what about those who are in the darkest places? And I don't know what Kristen's thinking when she comes in here. I don't know what Jason might have had a bad day, in a rough morning. We don't know. We don't know, even in our own congregation. Oh, sorry. I'll get those hands going. But we don't know in our own congregation what's going on with anybody. I mean, today, I've shared with people because I know the people that pray for me, so I share with them, and I share as a community. I'm very dizzy. Something's going on with the blood pressure. That's why I have to. Well, that's not why I have to have stool, but I always have to have stool. So, I won't just go boop. I don't feel great, but so you don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's going on with you. So how are ways that we can reach within our community and then our community's light? Because if I was to take another, I meant to bring my candle, another candle, but I shake. Y'all don't want me really messing with the fire. So I light this extra candle, when you share your light, it lights another and another and another. And pretty soon, we don't need any lights in here right now. Because, I'm sure that's the light of Christ shining in us. But, no, I don't know. It might be that what's coming from out there. But what are ways that we share our gifts? I know we do benevolence. Are we doing benevolence now? Or at the beginning of the year?
We're starting, yeah.
At the beginning? This year, okay. We're working with Benevolence Farm. I know we're giving money, but what else could we do for Benevolence Farm? Or anywhere, what you do in the day, personally or as a group?
I think just what you just said is being sensitive. I think we can think of practical things, but I think just being sensitive to like where we are as human beings and being present, like asking each other how we are doing and following up. How are you doing?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And what can I do for you? Yeah. You know, my favorite saying is,
"No,
I am here."
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be those who shared with. I might have shared it when I told my story, but a story of just that different incidents that this guy came across, and he was there, and other people were there for him, and his thought on it was that I am here is the holiest words you could say, and I believe that. I try to remember that in my mind. You know, we've all had our dark times, and if you haven't, don't worry, you probably won't be left out. When we can all remember that moment, like that moment, excuse me, when someone loaned you their light. And my example of that is, Chad and I were talking about this the other Sunday because I wore my Sax Mahal General Store shirt, which I love. I used to go down there every week for breakfast and eat the same thing. I am a creature of habit. But, you know, and I know Jeff, and he's the owner, he and his wife, and so we have a little bit of a relationship, but not, you know, we don't go out to dinner. But I was miserable that day for some reason. I think this was right at the beginning of when all the sickness was coming on, and I didn't know what was going on. And I was just depressed and just miserable and anxious. But I was sitting there quietly eating my breakfast burrito. And you got to try that, Chad. It's good. But Jeff came by. He didn't say a word to me, and my back was to him, and he just put his hand on my shoulder, didn't say a word, and just walked off. Didn't say good morning like we normally do. And I don't even know if he knows that he shared his light with me that day, because that gave me the strength to eat my breakfast and use it for good, get out and do what I had to do, because I was getting so depressed. I wasn't doing anything. So that's my example of how light has been shared with me. But I think as followers of Jesus that we must reach out to those who need what we have. We have something that others need, but that goes the street. It's a two-way street. What they have, I need, you know, and I think we have that responsibility or that duty to do that, because if we're not sharing our light, and I'm not saying go out today and write a big $1 million check unless it's the Storied Church.
That'd be great. We'll take it.
Yeah, I'm not saying, when I say give, this is where I had issue last night too, was that I don't mean your money. I mean, yeah, if you got money to give and that's, you know, the way you give a gift, that's wonderful. I'm talking about contact with people. I got to know Krishna's daughter a little bit better because we went to the Pride Fest. So now I feel like I know Krishna a little more. You know? So it's that reaching out. It's those small things, the kindness. I had decided that last week I was going to be kind to everybody I knew, and that if I went out to eat, I was going to be very kind to the whoever was serving that day. I think I passed. I spoke to everybody. Jason's probably like, God, I'm not going out to lunch with her no more. But, yeah. And lastly, we as followers of Christ we should have that desire in our hearts to see the hungry fed, the homeless have homes, or the hurt comforted, the abused and captive set free. I would say I don't know if there's anyone, I would bet to be somebody in this congregation has been one of those, or somebody who has been in this congregation has had these issues. And like we never know. So that kind word, just hey, And Don touched me on the shoulder this morning and said good morning. I mean, it gave me a little bit more confidence to speak. I don't really need much more confidence. So that I think we should have the desire to do. And my second, lastly, is I believe, we can go on for 23, but no, I won't do that. And my second, lastly, I believe that the last part of our dismissal prayer, if you've been here for the last couple of weeks, our series on the benediction, I think that's our challenge as followers of Christ. Our challenge of the question about how do we let our light shine for others. And this is actually my favorite part of our dismissal prayer. May God bless you with enough foolishness. I love foolishness. I mean, let's just throw it on the wall and see what sticks. But to believe that you can make a difference in this world so that others can do, so that you can do, or we can do, what the others claim cannot be done. So my challenge is to sprinkle that light on everything this week. I mean, spread it everywhere. And I think the gift of that will come back to you tenfold. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
Teach us your ways. Teach us your ways as we learn from one another. Learn to love each other. Teach us your ways. Teach us to give. Teach us to give. Give ourselves for one another. Learn to love each other. Teach us to give. Teach us to weep. Teach us to weep. Let us weep with one another. Learn to love each other. Teach us to